Welcome, traveller of the tides. The night has drawn its calm blue curtain across the world, and beyond it the sea breathes. It inhales and exhales like a vast living heart, steady, endless, and sure. Take a slow breath in and let it drift out, soft as a wave finding shore. You can feel the rhythm of the ocean already, the slow pulse that has cradled the planet since before memory. Let that rhythm match your own. Inhale again, a little deeper this time, and let it go, releasing the static hum of the day. You are safe now. There is nowhere you must be but here. As your breath evens, the world around you fades into the hush of tide and salt. You may still hear faint sounds, the sigh of your own breathing, the whisper of air against your skin, but soon they blend into one quiet note, a lullaby that belongs to the sea. Tonight we travel together into a story older than time, a story told not by books or voices, but by water. For there are places deep beneath the waves where light has never walked, where silence holds secrets older than the stars you see above. And some say that in those depths, the traces of a lost world still sleep, the breath of a civilization that lived, loved, and vanished before humanity was even born. Let your imagination open like a tide pool at dawn. Let it fill with light and movement. You are standing now at the edge of a calm ocean, barefoot in cool sand. The air smells of salt and wind and distance. Each wave curls toward you like a sigh, then withdraws, leaving silver trails of foam that shimmer in the moonlight. The horizon glows faintly, a thin seam where water meets sky. Above it hangs a scattering of stars, bright, patient, eternal. You lift your gaze to them and feel your mind begin to loosen, your thoughts slowing to match the ancient pulse of the planet. The sea speaks in its language of repetition. It says, rest, drift, listen, you listen. The sound of the surf stretches time. Each breath becomes a wave. Each heartbeat becomes a ripple. And as you listen deeper, the sound begins to change. The hush of waves becomes the hum of memory. You can almost hear it, a whisper under the surface, something vast and old, calling not with words, but with feeling. You close your eyes, and the boundary between you and the ocean disappears. The air cools slightly as the breeze passes over you. You taste the salt on your lips. The sand beneath your feet feels alive, grains shifting with every pulse of water. You take one slow step forward, then another. The water meets your ankles smooth and cool. Another step, the surface closes around your legs. You are not afraid. This is not a descent. It is a return. The sea welcomes you. You breathe with it, your chest rising and falling in rhythm with the tide. With each exhale, the weight of the day releases. Your thoughts, your noise, your edges. With each inhale, the ocean gives back calm and clarity. Now the surface light dims. You are floating, suspended between moonlight above and mystery below. The water around you glows faintly, a soft bioluminescence that clings to your skin like fireflies. It illuminates your hands as they move, silver and blue, as if you are part of the stars that have fallen into the sea. In this half-light you begin to see shapes forming beneath you, curves, lines, patterns. At first they seem like natural formations, ridges of coral, the play of current over rock, but then you notice the symmetry, the precision. These shapes were made with intention. They are not accidents of tide and time. They are remnants of something forgotten. You float above them, breathing slowly, watching as moonlight and water shift across their surface. Columns rise from the sand, arches curved like the ribs of great ships, stone paths that lead to nowhere, statues half buried in coral bloom. Everywhere, life has returned, anemones swaying, fish flashing through cracks in the stone. But beneath that living layer, something still whispers of human hands, of craft, of purpose, of memory. The ocean moves around you like breath. It does not hurry, it only holds. You drift closer. A single spiral pattern emerges on one of the stones, etched deep, still visible through centuries of erosion. It looks like a map or a song carved into the world, and somehow you recognize it, not as a memory, but as an instinct. You feel it in your pulse, a faint echo of something your species once knew. Breathe in, let the idea settle. Breathe out, let go of what you think you know. What if this world, the one you call home, has known others before? What if beneath every ocean there are cities older than language, their stories written in coral and tide? Not myths, but memories of civilizations who rose and fell before the sea took them in its arms. You float lower now. The pressure increases slightly, but it feels comforting, not heavy. The light shifts from silver to blue, then to deep indigo. Your ears fill with the low hum of the deep, a sound that is not sound, a vibration you feel through your bones. It is the heartbeat of the planet, slow, strong, unending. The deeper you go, the more time stretches. Minutes feel like centuries. The present and the past become one, woven together in the moving dark. And there, ahead of you, a faint glow. It's not bioluminescence, it's something else, a light that comes from within the stone itself, pulsing softly, like memory reawakening. You reach toward it, and as your fingers hover above the glow, images begin to form behind your eyes. Not visions exactly, but sensations. Cities of light, voices that hum like whales, hands shaping matter as easily as clay. A civilization that lived with the sea, not against it. Their structures flowed with current, their homes sang with tide. They did not fear the deep, they belonged to it. You see them for a moment, not clearly, but enough. Tall forms moving through water, skin shimmering, with patterns of light. Their eyes are calm, their gestures slow, deliberate, peaceful. They do not seem surprised to see you. They nod once as if to say, "We remember you too." Then the image fades, the glow dims. You are back in the stillness of the deep. The ruins below you are only stone again, but your pulse carries something new, a rhythm you did not have before, the faint echo of an ancient lullaby. You exhale. Bubbles rise, spiraling upward until they vanish into darkness. You follow them with your gaze. Somewhere far above, the surface shimmers like another world. You will go deeper still, but for now you float in the quiet, between breaths, listening to the sea remember itself. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the water cradle you. You are safe. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The ocean cradles you as you drift downward. It is not cold here, not hostile. The temperature holds steady, almost human, like the warmth of another heartbeat surrounding yours. Above, the last threads of moonlight dissolve. Below, the darkness glows faintly blue, lit by creatures that have never seen the sun. They move like thoughts through dreams, slow ribbons of light, delicate trails of fire beneath an infinite sea. One passes close to you, and for an instant its shape reflects in your eyes. Its form is strange and familiar, its motion so fluid it seems part of the current itself. You can't tell if it is animal or memory, or something in between. But it does not matter. It is beautiful, and it belongs here. And so, for now, do you. As you descend, the ruins stretch wider beneath you, columns and arches and smooth stone domes, etched with patterns like waves caught in time. Coral grows through the cracks, bright pink and gold, its branches reaching like fingers toward forgotten stars. Small fish swim in and out of windows, their silver scales glinting like tiny lanterns. The whole city is alive again, not as it was, but in a new, quiet way. Breathe. The air in your mind feels weightless. You are not underwater anymore, not really. You are drifting through history itself, weightless inside a story that is still breathing. Somewhere far above, a storm passes across the modern ocean, waves rolling over the same coordinates where you now float. The wind stirs the sea, but here in the deep, the movement is a whisper. The water rocks you in slow, even arcs. Each motion feels like a lullaby. You swim forward, your hands brushing smooth stone. Symbols spiral across the surface. Swirls within swirls, patterns that echo the movement of tides, the dance of moon and earth. They are maps, perhaps, or prayers carved for the sea to remember. Your fingers trace them. They feel alive, as if they can still hear your thoughts. And somewhere deep in your mind, you begin to understand. These carvings tell the story of a people who loved the ocean not as conquerors, but as children of it. Their homes were shaped by currents, their walls flexed with the rhythm of waves. They did not build against nature, but within it. They were architects of flow. You can almost see them now, moving through these same streets. They glide, weightless, their clothes like woven mist. Their eyes are gentle and dark, reflecting the soft glow of the world around them. They carry no weapons, no burdens. They are scientists, philosophers, dreamers, a civilization at peace with itself, balanced between curiosity and compassion. Breathe in, imagine the taste of their world. Salt and sunlight, metallic tang of deep water, the sweetness of coral blooms at dawn. Breathe out, let the vision stay. You are floating through memory. They had knowledge beyond ours, not machines or metal, but understanding. They knew the language of tides, the pulse of magma beneath the crust, the rhythm of the moon's pull on every living thing. They could sense earthquakes before they began, read the color of the sea as one might read a map. To them, science and spirit were not separate. They were the same current, flowing in opposite directions through the same ocean. And yet, like all things, their harmony began to waver. The world shifted. The earth turned in its slow, ancient rhythm. Volcanoes whispered, ice melted, oceans rose. Their cities sank not from war or pride, but from inevitability, the long breathing of a living planet. Still, they did not fight the sea. They surrendered with grace, letting their knowledge dissolve like salt in water. Perhaps they believed that one day someone would listen again. Perhaps that someone is you. As you drift through these ruins, you feel that belief still lingering, a kind of hope suspended in the deep. It hums in the coral, it glows in the light of passing creatures, it hums quietly in your chest. You find yourself before a great circular chamber. Its entrance is carved from stone smooth as glass, spiraled like a seashell, inviting you inward. Inside, the floor is covered in sand so fine, it glitters like powdered pearl. At the center stands a ring of pillars, each one carved with symbols, some like constellations, others like waves frozen in motion. You step closer. Between the pillars something flickers, a soft shimmer, not light, but memory. The air thickens, images rise like reflections in water. A city of crystal and coral, people weaving songs through glowing threads, the sea above their heads alive with silver fish. Then the light fades, and the chamber is empty again. Only the hush remains, that vast, patient silence that is not emptiness, but listening. You kneel in the sand, your hand brushes something smooth and cool, a piece of worked stone, small enough to hold. Its surface is marked with spirals like those outside. You lift it. It fits perfectly against your palm, as though it remembers you. You close your eyes and breathe slowly. The silence grows deeper. Somewhere in that quiet, you hear the faint hum of the ocean itself, a low vibration that travels through your bones. It feels ancient, older than humanity, older than time as we know it. It is the sound of memory that never died. As you listen, you understand something simple and beautiful. The ocean is the keeper of every story ever told, every voice, every song, every heartbeat that has ever existed on earth still moves somewhere within its currents. Nothing is lost here, only transformed. You rise, the small stone still in your hand. The water around you seems lighter now, filled with drifting particles of light. It feels as though the ocean itself is exhaling, releasing what it has kept, and in that breath, you sense the civilization again, not gone, but woven into everything that now lives beneath the waves. Fish flash like living prayers. Whales sing echoes of songs once sung by human throats. Even the sand beneath you hums softly, with the vibration of life continuing. The world below the surface is not lost. It is reborn every moment, in every tide. Breathe in. Feel that truth fill your chest. Breathe out. Let the thought settle, like a shell falling gently to the seafloor. Now, the light above dims again. Night has come to the world of the surface, but here below there is no night or day. only the endless turning of the earth, the steady movement of currents, the long patience of water. You are suspended between two worlds, the one above that forgets and the one below that remembers. And as you float there, the line between them blurs until you can no longer tell which is dream and which is truth. Your body is calm, your breath even. The ocean carries you gently as if it has claimed you as one of its own, and for now, you belong to it. You move deeper now, where light grows thin and the water turns the color of indigo ink. The pressure changes the way the air felt up on the shore. It is a soft, unfamiliar embrace that steadies every limb. Below you, caverns open like secret mouths in the underworld, their entrances rimmed with coral and the pale teeth of shell. A current guides you forward as if the sea itself remembers the way. It is not forceful. It is a suggestion, gentle, polite, nudging you toward a passage carved not by hands, but by time and patience. Inside the cavern, the world hushes. Sound becomes more intimate, a susurration of water against stone, the distant lowing of whale song that travels for thousands of miles and still arrives as a single, kind note. As you float, your eyes begin to adjust. What first seemed like shadow and rock reveals itself as engraved panels, spiral motifs, repeated sigils arranged with care. They are worn, softened by the slow work of currents and microscopic grazers. Still, the pattern remains. The carvings curve like ocean waves made into syntax, a language of movement rather than letters, a script that might be read by someone who remembers how to listen with more than eyes. You reach out and let your fingertips hover above a panel. The stone is cool, it carries the faint salt of ancient spray. When you press lightly, something in the material answers, a shimmer, almost like a breath that has been waiting. The effect is small and private, a hush that asks you to lean in. You do. For a moment you feel as if your own heartbeat matches the rhythm of those spirals. There is recognition, not literal, but familial, the sense that many hands once made these marks with careful intent. Breathe in now, long and slow. Hold for a quiet count. Exhale, letting your shoulders fall away from your ears. You are safe. The cavern keeps its ancient watch. Tiny creatures move along the grooves, grazing on film and mineral. They add their small patterns to the stone, living signatures on top of older signatures. Life layers itself upon memory here, making each surface richer, not diminished. Bioluminescent algae leave soft, transient halos where the carvings are deepest. Your skin glows transiently where they pass close, like the world is taking a photograph of you with light. Deeper, the passage widens. You enter a vaulted hall where columns curve like the bones of whales. Between them, pools mirror the faint glow above and the darker glow below. Inside each pool floats a disk of translucent material, thin, almost like skin stretched over a frame. When currents touch them, they ripple and give off a sound, a tone that resonates in your chest. It is music the sea has kept, a chord repeated for generations. As you listen, the tone seems to tell a quiet history. Voyages, gatherings, charts of currents. The music is not words, but meaning coils inside it like smoke. You follow the sound as one might follow a scent. The path leads to a chamber whose floor is a mosaic of stone and shell. The design is circular and centered, a cartography of tides. You kneel and run your hand across a segment that represents a coastline long changed. The texture is smooth from hands that once traced it, perhaps to teach children the way the sea moves. In one spot, a tiny carved notch looks like a harbor. In another, clusters of dots form a pattern that could be stars or the cheek of a friendly animal. The ambiguity calms you. It lets your mind make its own connections, small bridges from this era to yours. Pause and breathe in gently. Exhale slowly, as if releasing a small bird into the dusk. Let the breath smooth your thoughts. You imagine who might have walked these halls, not in hurry, but in the careful cadence of a people who measured time by swell and moon. They might have worn garments woven from seaweed and filament, soft as kelp, patterned with shells and small beads. Perhaps their children learned to read current patterns the way you learn to read a clock. instinctively, lovingly. Perhaps they taught by song, each lyric a set of coordinates remembered by heart, passed down like heirlooms. As your imagination settles, you notice a ring of stone at the chamber's center. It is hollow and worn, the interior polished by stroke and salt. When you place your hand into the hollow, the water at your fingertips responds with a ripple that travels outward and up to the ceiling, where it breaks into prismatic light. The effect is private, like a whisper kept between friends. You sense a ritual here, an action repeated with reverence, offerings of shell, a count of tides, a naming of leaders not by blood but by the clarity of their maps. Breathe again, slow and even. Let the rhythm of the sea guide your lungs, as if each tide is giving you direction. From a niche high in the chamber, a small cylindrical object rests on a bed of sand. It is sealed in a film of mineral growth, as if the ocean decided to tuck it away for later. Gently, with the patience of someone unwrapping a dream, you lift it. It is heavier than you expect, cold with depth. Etched along its side are lines in a repeating pattern, perhaps a counting system, perhaps a way to mark seasons. When you turn it, a tiny compartment clicks and releases a cloud of microbubbles that drift like a constellation. Inside the compartment is a small token, a bead carved from shell, of a shape you have not seen before, spiraled and perfect. It fits into your palm like an unspoken favor. You hold the token to your chest and press, feeling the thump of your heart meet the hum of the ocean around you. There is a connection here, not a proof, but an invitation, belonging across the gulf of ages. It steadies you. As you continue, the architecture becomes more intricate. Archways open into courtyards where gardens of soft coralline algae undulate. Here and there, fossilized reeds stand erect as if time could not convince them to bow. Above these submerged gardens, a current conspired to keep pockets of air long enough for certain delicate organisms to exchange breath with a thin film of light. The result is exquisite, micro-ecosystems thriving like secret neighborhoods. In them you see small, clever tools half buried in silt, smoothed by use. Perhaps they were used to strain food, to measure flow, to set tiny mirrors to catch starlight and bring it to the deep. The idea of tools beneath the sea surprises you at first, until you remember that intelligence adapts. Hands learn whatever the world offers. If the ocean is your workshop, your instruments will be shells, stones, and the flexible bones of creatures you know only by fossil. Their sophistication might have been different, but no less ingenious. You smile at the thought, ingenuity need not to look like our own to be true. Pause now and breathe slowly. Let the inhalation be long, filling the belly. Let the exhale be soft, leaving a tiny echo. You are moving through an old kindness. In a long gallery lined with reliefs, you find depictions of the sky as they saw it, not as a map of stars, but as a map of swells. Constellations appear as arcs and loops, keyed to currents and seasonal blooms. The reliefs show a symbiosis. Whales, annotated with symbols for migration, coral gardens marked with signs for harvest, and above them tiny glyphs representing moon phases. These are not merely records, they are instruction manuals, guides for a civilization living with the sea's language. You listen for the absence, the moment when curiosity turns into loss. For a long while there is none. The pictures continue. Gatherings, festivals where light structures float in pools, children learning to mimic the paths of fish as games. There is laughter in the grooves, not audible to the ear, but present in the lines, the gentle arcs that repeat with delight. The craft of living here seems benign, ceremonial, embedded in joy. Breathe in and feel gratitude, growing like a small ember in your chest. Exhale and send it out to the water around you. And then you notice a different mark, a change in the sequence. Where circles once repeated, a jagged line intrudes. Where currents used to form loops, they begin to split. The reliefs show gatherings looking skyward, faces turned, hands pointing. The tone shifts, from leisurely study to focused attention. Their maps now include things not of their making. Falling stars annotated with concern, unusual swells circled with heavy marks. The carvings do not scream catastrophe, but they speak of surprise and then adaptation. You study the patterns and feel the steadiness return. Whatever happened, these people met it with calm. They recorded it, adjusted, kept their rituals. What looks like an ending on a stone is, in the language of the ocean, often a turn. A new current, a new set of migrations, an altered coastline. The sea absorbs and re-sings the change. Breathing quietly, hold, exhale, allow the cadence to slow the pulse at your wrists. As you float through the deeper galleries, you discover a chamber sealed by a stone door of perfect symmetry. It is heavy but balanced. When you push, it opens with the sound of a slow bell. Inside the air, ancient and trapped, lifts like a remembered breath. The chamber is a repository of sorts, vessels stacked in racks, instruments aligned as if by a precise hand, and a wall filled with tablets, worked from shell and compacted material, that hold diagrams and small pictograms. They look like the personal notes of a community. Inventories, observations, small poetic lines about the taste of a particular current. You take one tablet in your hands. Its surface crumbles a little when you breathe on it, but enough remains to touch the engraving. A simple line repeats: tide, moon, bloom. Another pattern shows a circle touched by waves at precise intervals, a calendar maybe, or an algorithm for when to harvest. There is no mystery left in these marks. They are practical, moving between poetry and instruction, a species' daily writing. You feel a sense of closeness, as if you and those unknown hands shared the same morning routine, the same small worries, the same pleasure in a successful catch. Breathe out now, slowly, releasing any distance you feel between then and now. Your body is part of one long species of breath. You linger in the chamber until the light outside dims to a sapphire hush. The sea moves you forward again into corridors that open to a cathedral-like space where creatures large as houses drift through beams of filtered light. One such creature, immense, placid, its skin patterned like a mountain range, glides by and lets a shower of tiny organisms cascade from its flanks. The flow of plankton paints the columns with iridescence. The giant turns its slow eye and watches you as if greeting an old friend. In that glance there is no condescension, only a vast, inclusive recognition. We are shared passengers on the same tide. You allow a smile to cross your face and feel the world respond. Soundless, the cathedral seems to nod, and the current carries you forward, past mosaics, past braids of seaweed, still knotted with old rope, into a place where the ceiling opens and you can see faintly the distant surface, a wavering line of light. It is not a goodbye. It is a reference point, like a star sailors kept in memory to find their way home. You rise within the water and within yourself, carrying the collected sense of rooms and the small token from the ring. Each memory here is a clue, each object a gentle witness. The ocean keeps them not to hide but to shelter. It preserves in layers so the living world above may one day listen. Take one more long, deliberate breath now. Hold it, let the chest be full. Exhale, releasing into the water as if your breath is a message sent outward to a friend. You are part of a long conversation that has never ended. The sea will carry your thought forward and fold it into its endless song. As currents shift you back toward the wider world of open water, you notice the way the sea lights itself with life. Small organisms flare like lanterns wherever the sediments were stirred by your passage. The ruins recede behind you, becoming shapes within shapes, comforting and patient. You are not returning empty-handed. You carry in your memory the architecture of care, the gentle technological thought, the ritual of maps and tides. You carry a tiny bead of shell that fits like an old promise in your palm, and high above, beyond the thin bright line of the surface, the modern moon holds steady. The world you left asleep on its shore turns slowly in its orbit, kept safe by countless tides and breaths. The ocean holds its secrets close, but not in malice. In stewardship, you feel grateful to have seen this small part of its guardianship. Breathe in and let the breath be a seal on what you have learned. Exhale and carry the calm with you like a garment. There is more to see in the deep and still more to understand. The ocean will not rush you. For now, float in the echo of these halls and let their rhythm become a quiet part of you. You are carried, you are included, and you are cherished by the sea's long attention. You descend again, slower this time, guided by a current that feels like a long, patient hand. The water grows cooler and bluers deepen into velvet. Above, the last hint of surface light is a faint thread. Below, the world opens into a cathedral of pressure and shadow. Here, geology and life have learned to move together, shaping one another over ages so long they read like thoughts rather than events. As you reach the abyssal plain, the seafloor becomes a landscape of soft undulations. Hills of sediment, valleys of older stone, hydrothermal vents rise like chimneys, exhaling warm, mineral-rich water that clouds the dark with steam and possibility. Around each vent, life gathers in dense, slow communities. Tube worms standing packed like columns, mats of bacteria shimmering, crabs and small predators circling with the attentive patience of those who know the vent's gifts. Among these vents, the ocean's memory seems freshest. Heat births chemistry here, and chemistry gives rise to habitations. You notice, with a quiet thrill, how certain stone formations between vents have been shaped into terraces and steps, not by sudden collapse, but by slow, deliberate accretion. It is as if the ocean itself built small platforms, and someone long ago made them more deliberate, smoothing edges where hands might rest. You move toward one such terrace. Along the rim are small indentations, perfect for bowls or instruments. Within them, mineral deposits have crystallized into beautiful lattices of copper and iron. Embedded in the lattices are fragments of worked shell, small pieces shaped with care. They are not mechanical, not like the tools you know, but they are thoughtful. Implements for harvesting, for gauging, for listening to the current. You feel a tenderness when you touch them, as if the hands that shaped them handled the sea gently, as if they loved their work. Breathe in slowly, hold a beat, exhale. Let the cool air of this imagined place fill you. In the shadow between vents, you find a shelter carved into basalt, an alcove warmed by the earth's breath. Inside lies a map of sorts, made not of ink but of stone, raised lines and tiny pits that mark currents, chemical gradients, and migration routes. It reads like a songbook for the sea. A small formation near the center is marked with concentric rings, the kind of sign a civilization might use to mark a sacred site, a meeting place where knowledge was shared and decisions were made. You imagine those gatherings there, elders and learners bending around the map, fingers tracing routes with deliberate reverence. Stories are told in sound and motion, hands cutting arcs in the water, voices humming low notes that match the vent's frequency. Children learn the way currents turn like stories telling one another, learning which vent brings warmth after a cold period, which slope yields the richest microbial bloom. The society that tended. These places did not conquer the ocean, it choreographed with it. A soft chime rises somewhere, a natural resonance where water meets crystal, and you let it pull your attention further into the trench. The walls narrow, capped with an overhang crusted in fragile formations. Beneath this overhang, the floor is arranged into a small theatre, semicircular steps where bodies could sit, carved into soft stone, smoothed by time and footfall. On one step rests an object shaped like a disc, its face inlaid with concentric rings of different materials. When you tilt it against the faint current, a pattern of light plays across the wall, revealing a star-like diagram. The motion is slow and simple, as if this object was both instrument and lesson. A way to translate sky to sea, the above mapped to the below. You feel, not with logic, but with a kind of remembering, the value of such translation. The beings who made these things watched above as well. They watched the moon, the stars, and the weather that followed. They did not ignore sky. They threaded it through their oceanic charts, finding guidance in the cycles above to predict the generosity of the waters below. Their science was poetic. Their rituals were practical. The two braided into a single way of life. Pause, breathe in, exhale. Let each breath be a gentle affirmation that you are safe, that you are learning, and that there is room inside you for wonder. As you move through the trench, you notice small glyphs carved into the overhangs, abstract symbols representing flows and intervals. Some show a spiral turning outward, Others a line that breaks into dots, perhaps indicating a cadence. Swell, rest, bloom. These markings are private in tone, like marginalia left by someone teaching a child how to read the sea. There is no haste here. The rhythm is deliberate. Observe, record, pass on. Nearby, a narrow passage leads to a sheltered basin where the water is unnaturally still. In its center floats a ring of mineral glass, so thin it seems like a membrane. When currents strike the membrane, it sings in a low, harmonic tone that resonates deep in your bones. The sound is not loud. It is a frequency of comfort. It carries the sensation of being known. You realize this ring may have been an instrument used to synchronize gatherings, to set a tempo for communal tasks, a way to align many hands and minds to the same beat. You let the tone wash over you. Close your eyes briefly and match your breath to that rhythm. Inhale with the ring's rise. Exhale with its fall. Your body responds, easing, softening, letting go of the last small tensions. In the basin's shadow, you discover a wall of pictographs. They show scenes not only of daily life, harvesting, repairing, celebrating, but also of journeys. Little figures move along sinuous lines that wind like tides across the stones. One sequence depicts a procession, figures carrying a long woven object made of strands that might be interpreted as kelp or fiber grown from microorganisms. Another shows hands releasing small spheres into the water, which then ignite tiny blooms of light. Some ceremony, perhaps, or a method of signaling across distance. The thought comes to you gently. If these people had ways to send light and sound over the dark water, then their communication was designed for the deep, not for the surface. Their messages would travel along currents, folded into chemical scents and thermal pulses, read by those tuned to subtle changes in warmth and taste. It makes sense, and it makes you smile at the brilliant specificity of adaptation. Breathe in, hold, exhale. Let the rhythm of the trench match the rhythm of your bones. You continue along a corridor lined with alcoves, each housing an artifact. There is a tool that looks like a sieve, its mesh woven from fragile mineral threads. There is a small carved figure whose face remains serene despite the ages. There is a curved blade of polished shell, still sharp, still humming with the memory of handed expertise. You handle them with reverence. Tools become language. Language becomes legacy. At the corridor's end, the trench opens into a vast plain punctuated by towering stone spires, each crowned with rings of living coral. Between the spires, currents play complex games, creating whirlpools that pull and then release water, sorting plankton and nutrients with clockwork precision. The entire landscape functions as a living machine, an ecosystem cultivated and tended over generations. You sense the hand of caretakers here. Channels dredged, reefs coaxed into patterns that encourage abundance. Shelters formed where juvenile creatures could grow safe from larger predators. A sensation rises: stewardship. The makers of this place were stewards who understood abundance as something to be arranged and maintained with humility. They balanced harvest with growth, took only what the system could replace. It is a lesson that reaches into your chest like a small, clean bell. Above the plain, long, graceful creatures move, whales of a shape that shifts light in spirals across their backs. They glide close to the spires, their great bodies stirring currents that bloom into clouds of food. The interaction is choreography, as if two species have composed a duet over millennia. The beings who tended this plain had learned to work with giants, to read their migration like the weather, and to time their activities with the slow arias of these creatures. You float there a long while, watching the choreography, feeling the sea's slow mathematics. Your breath slows until it is only a soft companion to the world's larger movements. In this state, even the idea of time softens into texture. Seasons become threads, years become the grain of wood. You are no longer a visitor, you are a witness, a heart tuned to the sea's long song. Breathe now, long and slow. Let your exhale be twice as long as your inhale. Let the rhythm cradle you. From the plain, you drift toward an edifice half buried in sediment. It is circular, like many structures here, and at its center a shallow pool still emits a faint phosphorescent glow. Around the pool, small sculptures stand, abstract, human-like, their forms stylized and kind. They bear no arms, but their stances imply offering. At the base of each sculpture, a pattern of stones is laid, carefully placed. A lattice of meaning, perhaps offerings left by generations to mark gratitude, to remember voyages, to console one another. You sense the humility of a culture that left love in simple, durable things. As you move among the sculptures, a microcurrent brushes your cheek, and you feel something unnameable well up. A tenderness for the hands that once arranged the stones, for the voices that spoke in the dark and named constellations in terms of currents. Grief here is quiet and generous. It does not demand drama. It is simply the fact of attention given and then folded away by the ocean. You accept that grief without pain, as one accepts the turning of a page. You gather yourself for the slow ascent back toward the lighter waters. In your hand, the token from the ring sits like a small anchor. You place it against your heart and feel the echo of the trench's music settle there. The ocean around you hums as if approving. You do not leave in haste. You rise the way a tide lifts a shell, patient, inevitable, kind. As you approach the mid-water zone, light returns in small scattered shards. Creatures of transparent grace spiral around you, their bodies refracting every prismatic glint into slow color. The ruins' contours blur into soft shapes, not lost, but changing their roles in the living seascape. Coral and stone, tool and reef, all braid into a single long habit of being. Take a breath now, deep and full. Hold for a gentle count, exhale, releasing any last thread of tension. The sea has shown you much. Technology of care, ritual of map and tide, a civilization that collaborated rather than dominated. The knowledge here is subtle, stitched into stone and biology, and it remains a generous gift. Float a while in that gratitude. The ocean holds you, and you hold the ocean in return. The past is not a tomb, but a garden, tended by currents and memory. You are blessed to have walked its paths. You are deeper now than memory. The world above has vanished into distance, and yet you do not feel far from home. It is quiet here, the kind of quiet that hums, a quiet so full that it almost sounds like music. The light has changed again. It comes not from above, but from within. The minerals in the rocks shimmer faintly, like veins of forgotten fire still breathing. Every ripple of current stirs a constellation of sparks, and the water glows in slow motion as if galaxies were hidden inside it. You drift gently over a vast trench, a canyon carved into the seafloor, its walls sheer and ancient, its depths darker than the sky between. Stars. The trench hums faintly, a deep vibration that travels through your body. It's not menacing. It feels alive, awake, a pulse that has never ceased. Breathe in. Let that pulse meet your own. Breathe out. Let your body soften into rhythm. As you hover above the trench, you notice thin plumes rising from vents far below. The water around them shimmers with heat, and within that shimmer you see shapes. Not physical shapes, impressions, patterns, memories folded into temperature and motion. They form a vision of the world as it once was. You see the surface ocean bright and full of life. You see islands where cities stood, spires of glass and coral intertwined. You see people walking through shallow water, their feet leaving no mark, their movements slow and graceful, as if in constant conversation with the tide. They carry baskets woven from living fibers, their surfaces glittering with captured sunlight. They harvest not for greed, but for continuity. Each gesture is ritual, a dialogue with the sea, a thank you whispered into foam. They speak to the water as if it listens, and it does. The image shifts. Now you see storms rising, not in anger, but in balance. The world changes. Coastlines sink, mountains rise. The people move inward, deeper, carrying their knowledge beneath the waves. They are not fleeing. They are transforming. They trust the ocean to keep their wisdom safe. And it did. You are seeing their final offering now. Cities built to last not in sunlight, but in shadow. Stone that could breathe. Architecture designed to merge with coral. so that life would continue even after memory faded. Every wall is a reef now, every tower a sanctuary. What was once human is now the foundation for endless life. You drift closer to the trench wall. There, among the vents, a doorway stands open, not built by accident, but by intention. It is framed by smooth stone carved in a shape that repeats the spiral of shells, a geometry that suggests both design and nature. You glide through it, and the water within feels different, warmer, denser, full of faint shimmer. Inside, the space widens into a vast hall, its ceiling lost in darkness, its floor glowing faintly with soft bioluminescence. Pillars rise like trees made of pearl, their roots winding deep into the stone below. Between them, streams of bubbles rise slowly, each one carrying a glint of light. You listen. The hall hums with resonance, as if the sea itself were speaking. The sound is low and melodic, a choir of unseen voices, a vibration that moves through your chest and spine. It feels like being sung to, like the ocean is remembering your name. At the center of the hall stands a circle of stone. Within it, a pool mirrors the faint light above. You float closer and the surface ripples. A projection begins, not of technology but of memory. The water shows you moments like dreams, hands shaping stone under shallow water, eyes closing in prayer before the tide, a final gathering beneath a silver sky. They are saying goodbye to the surface, but not to the world. They trust their story to the deep, knowing someone will one day hear it again. And you are that listener. The realization arrives like a wave breaking in slow motion. You are not intruding here. You are fulfilling an old invitation, one left in symbols, one carried in salt. The ocean has been waiting to tell this story, and now, finally, it can. Breathe in. Let gratitude fill your chest. Breathe out. Let awe soften your thoughts. You look down into the glowing pool again. The light within it grows brighter, then steadier, until it forms an image of the earth itself. A blue sphere turning quietly in blackness. The oceans gleam like liquid glass. You can see continents shifting slowly, currents threading between them like veins of silver. Then, faintly, across one of the great oceans, a shimmer, a pattern etched in coral and current, visible only from above. It is not random, it is deliberate, a message written in reefs, a vast planetary memorial to those who came before. You see now what the ocean kept. It kept their science, hidden in the design of ecosystems. It kept their language, woven into whale song and current. It kept their compassion, echoed in the patience of tides. Every breaking wave, every particle of plankton, every rhythm of rise and fall is a syllable in that unending hymn. The ocean did not bury their civilization. It became their civilization. You drift backward, letting the vision fade. The water around you glows brighter now, and you sense the surface drawing near. You are ascending through layers of time, through eras of silence and song, through centuries of forgetting and remembering. You feel the pressure ease, the light return. But before you rise completely, you glance down one last time. The ruins below shimmer faintly, the trenches hum, and the pool still glows, a pulse of light that will never go out. You smile softly. It feels less like an ending and more like a promise kept. The current carries you upward. Fish scatter in trails of light. Small creatures twirl like stars. Above you, the surface breaks into silver lace. You rise through it and the water gives way to air. You are floating again beneath the moon. The same moon that watched them, that watches you now. Its reflection trembles across the calm waves, like the heartbeat of a memory finally exhaled. The shore waits in the distance, dark, quiet, patient. You begin to drift toward it, your body light, your mind at peace. Breathe in, let your lungs fill with the cool night air. Breathe out, feel the ocean's rhythm still within you, steady, slow, loving. You reach the shallows, your feet touch the sand again. The waves fold around your ankles as if greeting you home. The sound is soft and eternal. Foam whispering across the beach, retreating and returning, retreating and returning. A heartbeat that never stops. You look out at the horizon. The sea is calm now, but you know what lies beneath it. Not ruins, not ghosts, but continuity. The deep is not absence, it is the memory that allows life to begin again. The ocean has always been writing this story. You have simply remembered how to read it. Breathe once more. In, out. Let peace fill the spaces inside you. You are part of something vast and kind, older than time, gentler than silence. And now, as the tide turns and the stars grow softer, you begin to drift. Not downward this time, but inward, toward the center of rest. You are safe. You are held. You are home. The world has quieted. The sea, the sky, the wind, all rest together. You are lying on the cool sand, the tide whispering soft lullabies around your ankles. Above, the stars shine like old companions, their light patient, forgiving, eternal. The moon, half veiled in cloud, casts its silver breath across the ocean's skin. Every shimmer of reflection feels alive, as if the water remembers your touch, your presence, your listening. Breathe in, slow and deep. Let the air move all the way to your belly. Hold for a quiet heartbeat and release. Each breath carries the rhythm of the tide. Inhale, the sea comes closer. Exhale, it drifts away. Inhale, peace. Exhale, rest. The ocean hums softly behind you, a low, endless sound that belongs to all of time. It is the same sound that soothed the first living cell, the same sound that will soothe the last. It is the breath of the world itself, and tonight, that breath is yours. You close your eyes and the horizon fades to a field of gentle darkness. Shapes dissolve into feeling, the warmth of sand beneath you, the slight salt on your lips, the faint brush of wind against your cheek. You feel the earth turn, and for a moment it feels like you are turning with it, slowly, peacefully, endlessly. The ocean stories begin to drift through you again, soft as dreams moving just beyond words. You see flashes of light beneath the surface, coral gardens blooming in quiet hues, arches and halls of ancient stone, carvings spiraling with meaning. But now they no longer feel like history. They feel like heartbeat, like breath, like something alive inside you. You realize that the lost civilization was never truly lost. Its spirit lives on in every drop of salt water, in every wave that folds and unfolds, in the way the sea always returns to shore. It lives in you, in your blood, in your heartbeat, in the way you breathe without thinking. You are made of ocean, of their minerals, their patience, their song. Breathe in. Let that truth fill you, gentle, endless, forgiving. Breathe out. Let everything unnecessary drift away. The stars wheel slowly overhead. You can almost hear them, faint and crystalline, a sound so delicate it could only exist at the edge of sleep. It joins the whisper of the waves and the soft hum of your breath. Together they form a lullaby, a song without words, a rhythm older than language. You begin to imagine the world as one great ocean, a sphere of life turning through eternity. Mountains are waves frozen in time, clouds are tides moving through air, and you are a drop within that motion, small, perfect, complete. There is no separation, there never was. You are part of every current that has ever been, every storm that has ever broken, every calm that has ever returned. Breathe. Let your mind loosen like sand underfoot. Each grain a thought, each wave a breath washing over it. Let the sea take what you no longer need. It knows what to do with it. It turns even grief into coral, even memory into song. Somewhere in the distance a whale calls, long, low, and slow. The sound travels through water and air and bone. It is not sad. It is an offering, a greeting across time. Perhaps it carries the same notes once sung by those who built the cities below. Perhaps it is their way of saying, "We are still here." The call fades. The silence that follows is warm, like a blanket drawn up to your shoulders. The air smells faintly of salt and night flowers. The stars blur as your eyes grow heavy. You can feel your thoughts thinning, your body softening, your breath deepening into the rhythm of sleep. Now imagine yourself drifting once more, but this time not through water, through space, floating between stars that pulse with quiet light. You move without effort, guided only by stillness. Everywhere you look, there is gentleness, soft colors, slow motion, a universe that hums with the same love as the sea. You think of Earth below you, a glowing sphere of blue and white, turning calmly through infinite dark. You see its oceans glimmering, its continents sleeping under moonlight. The memory of that hidden civilization lingers there, woven into every wave, every heartbeat, every breath of life. It is not gone, it is simply resting, the way you are now. Breathe in deeply one last time. Feel how the air moves through you, how it cleans and clears. Exhale fully and imagine each thought, each fragment of noise, each worry, each unneeded word, floating away like tiny bubbles, rising until they dissolve into silence. You have reached the still point, the place where the sea and the sky meet, the place where time slows to a single long exhale. You can stay here as long as you wish. The world will wait, the tides will wait. Everything in creation knows how to pause for rest. The waves slide gently closer, lapping at your feet. Each one kisses the shore, then retreats with a sigh. The sound repeats over and over until it becomes your heartbeat. You are calm, you are safe, you are warm, you are free. And as your breath evens into sleep, the world folds softly around you. A blanket made of night, stitched with stars, lined with salt and peace. You hear one last whisper from the ocean. We remember. Then another, quieter still, and we will carry your dreams until you wake. The Tim shore fades, the stars fade, even your name begins to melt into silence. All that remains is rhythm, slow, steady, eternal. A rhythm that says you are safe, you are loved, you are home. Breathe one last deep, slow breath. Let it fill every corner of you. Then exhale and let yourself drift down and down and down into rest. You are surrounded by calm, by ocean, by starlight. Everything is soft, everything is still. Good night, good night, good night.